Your back pain isn't a strength problem. It's a sitting problem. And there is a very specific difference between those two things. A strength problem needs the gym. A sitting problem needs something Japan solved generations ago, without a single piece of exercise equipment involved. 7 habits. All of them about how you sit, not how hard you work out. And together they explain why a culture that has traditionally spent hours a day sitting on the floor reports less chronic lower back pain in older age than cultures that sit exclusively in cushioned chairs, and why several of these same habits quietly work your core the entire time, without you ever calling it exercise. Stay with me until habit number 7, because number 7 is the one that makes the other 6 actually work long term. Without it, you'll fix your posture for a few days and slide right back into the chair you've always used. With it, correct sitting stops being something you have to think about at all. But first, habit number 3 is the one that's going to surprise you, because it has nothing to do with your chair, nothing to do with your desk setup, and takes about 30 seconds. 30 seconds, and it may do more for your lower back than a month of stretching ever has. Let's begin. Most of us think about back pain the wrong way. We treat it as something that happens to us with age, something inevitable that needs a better mattress, a new office chair, or eventually a physical therapist to manage. We chase relief after the pain shows up, then wait for the next flare-up, then chase relief again. Japan doesn't approach sitting that way. In Japan, how you sit is not incidental to your health, it is treated as one of the most consequential physical habits of daily life, practiced consistently enough, for long enough, that the muscles supporting your spine and waist are quietly trained every single day without a single dedicated workout. There is a concept behind this called seiza, the traditional kneeling sitting position, and a broader idea behind low-to-the-ground furniture and floor-based living called yuka saikatsu, floor living, which structurally demands a different relationship with your own core and spine than a Western chair ever does. 7 habits. Each one almost insultingly simple. Each one the difference between a spine and waistline that are constantly, quietly being reinforced and one that spends 8 hours a day slowly collapsing into a cushioned chair. Let's go through every single one. You've probably assumed floor sitting is just a cultural or spatial preference, something people do because they don't have furniture, not something with an actual physical benefit. Stay with me, because that assumption is backwards. Here is what's actually happening biomechanically. A Western chair, particularly one with back support, does a large share of the work of holding your spine upright for you. Floor sitting, cross-legged, kneeling, or side-sitting, offers no such external support. Your deep core and stabilizing back muscles have to do that job themselves, continuously, for as long as you're sitting that way. Research on sitting posture and muscle activation has found meaningfully higher engagement of the deep abdominal and lower back stabilizer muscles during unsupported floor sitting compared to supported chair sitting, the same muscles that, when weak, are directly associated with chronic lower back pain. In Japan, floor-based living, meals, tea, conversation, all traditionally conducted seated on the floor, means these stabilizer muscles are getting low-level, continuous training for hours across an ordinary day, entirely incidental to any exercise routine. Nobody thinks of sitting for dinner as a core workout. It functions like one anyway. The shift, 30 minutes of floor sitting a day, worked in during meals, phone calls, or reading, quietly trains the exact muscles a chair has been doing the job of for you, without a single dedicated exercise minute added to your day. That is habit number 1. Now, habit number 2 is where this gets interesting, because it directly contradicts what most ergonomic advice tells you to buy. Ergonomic advice in the West is almost universally get more back support, a cushion, a specially contoured chair, more padding behind the lower spine. This isn't wrong for long working sessions. But treated as the permanent, constant solution, it creates a specific problem. Here's the mechanism. Muscles that are never asked to work, weaken. Constant, full lumbar support means your lower back stabilizers essentially get to rest for the entire duration of a supported sit, which, over months and years of 8-hour workdays, contributes to exactly the kind of weak stabilizing muscle pattern that then makes the moments you're not supported, standing up, bending over, lifting something, far more injury-prone. The traditional Japanese approach doesn't reject support entirely, but it structurally includes much more unsupported sitting time by default, simply through floor-based furniture that doesn't offer a cushioned backrest the way a Western office chair does. The muscles get regular, brief windows of actual work, rather than near total, permanent rest. The shift, total back support, all day, every day, isn't protecting your back. It's quietly training it to need that support more and more. Short, deliberate windows of unsupported sitting rebuild exactly the strength that constant support has been replacing. That is habit number 2. Now, habit number 3, the 30-second habit I told you about at the start. Stay right here, because this one is going to sound too small to matter, and then you'll do it once and immediately feel the difference. Not a stretch. Not equipment. A 30-second postural check, rolling your pelvis slightly forward so your lower back keeps its natural inward curve, done the instant you sit down, every single time, before you settle into whatever you're about to do. Slow down here, because I know what you're thinking, that a 30-second posture adjustment can't possibly matter that much. Here's what it's actually correcting. Most people, the moment they sit, unconsciously let the pelvis tuck backward, flattening the lower spine's natural curve, a position called posterior pelvic tilt. Studies measuring spinal disc pressure across different sitting postures have found that this slouched, pelvis-tucked position significantly increases pressure on the lumbar discs compared to a neutral pelvic position, and that pressure compounds with every additional minute spent in the position. This single 30-second adjustment, rolling the pelvis forward into neutral before you settle in, resets that pressure distribution for the entire sitting session that follows. It's not a stretch you do occasionally. It's the starting position you begin every single sit from, the same way you might adjust a mirror before driving. The shift, the same 8 hours of sitting, started from a neutral pelvic position instead of a slouched one, distributes spinal pressure completely differently for the entire session, and it costs you 30 seconds, once, at the start. That is habit number 3. And now habit number 4, and this one is going to challenge how long you think you're allowed to sit still. Most Western work culture treats staying still and focused as a virtue. Sit down, get in the zone, don't move for hours. Here's why that instinct works directly against your spine. Static posture, held for extended periods, restricts blood flow to spinal discs and surrounding muscle tissue, and research on sustained sitting has consistently found that prolonged static positions, regardless of how correct the posture is, are associated with increased stiffness and pain compared to the same total sitting time broken up by regular position changes. It's not really about finding the one perfect sitting position. It's about never staying in any single position long enough for it to become a problem. Traditional Japanese floor sitting inherently supports this because floor positions, cross-legged, kneeling, side-sitting, are simply less comfortable to hold for hours than a cushioned chair, which naturally prompts more frequent shifting throughout the day, entirely without anyone consciously scheduling it. The shift, the healthiest sitting posture, isn't a posture at all. It's a rotation between several imperfect ones, none of them held long enough to cause the damage a single correct position held for 3 straight hours would. That is habit number 4. Now, habit number 5, and this one is about what's directly beneath you. A thick, plush cushion feels more comfortable in the moment. It is not, structurally, doing your spine any favors, and this is one of the more counterintuitive habits on this list. Here's the mechanism. A soft, deep cushion allows your pelvis to sink unevenly, which destabilizes the neutral pelvic position habit 3 just spent 30 seconds establishing. A firm, thin cushion, closer to what's traditionally used with floor seiza or low Japanese furniture, provides just enough surface softness for comfort while still giving your pelvis a stable, level base to sit on, rather than letting it sink into an unpredictable, shifting surface. The shift, the cushion that feels the most comfortable in the first 5 minutes, is often the one working against your posture for the remaining 7 hours. A firmer surface trades a little initial plushness for a stable base your spine can actually rely on all day. That is habit number 5. Now, habit number 6, which is where the waistline benefit of all of this finally becomes explicit. This is not a core exercise you schedule. It's a background habit, a light, low-level pull of the lower belly toward the spine, held gently, off and on, throughout the day while sitting, the way you might absent-mindedly hold good posture without thinking about it. Here's why this specifically affects your waistline. The transverse abdominis, the deepest abdominal muscle, wrapping around your midsection like a natural corset, is the primary muscle responsible for waist definition and core stability, and it responds well to frequent, low-intensity activation, not just intense, occasional workouts. Floor-sitting positions common in Japan inherently demand more of this muscle continuously, simply to hold an unsupported seated posture upright, which is part of why waist and core stability differences show up in populations with more floor-sitting culture, independent of formal exercise habits. The shift, a muscle engaged lightly for hours a day, every day, through ordinary sitting, gets more consistent training volume than the same muscle worked hard for 20 minutes, 3 times a week, and then left completely idle for the rest of your waking hours. That is habit number 6. Now, habit number 7, the one I told you at the very start, makes all 6 of the others permanent. Stay here, because this is the most important thing in this entire video. This one isn't about your body at all. It's about your environment, and why most posture advice fails within a week. Here's what I mean. Most people try to fix their sitting posture through willpower alone, consciously remembering to sit up straight, consciously choosing the harder floor position, while every chair, couch, and cushion in their home is still built to make the easy, slouched, unsupported muscle option the default. Willpower against environment loses almost every time, not because the person lacks discipline, but because the environment is working against them dozens of times a day, and willpower only has to fail once for the old pattern to win. The Japanese approach to this isn't really a habit in the individual sense, it's environmental. Homes built around floor seating, low tables, and minimal deep-cushioned furniture make the beneficial sitting pattern the structurally default one, not a conscious override of the easier option. You don't have to remember to sit on the floor if the floor is simply where the table is. The shift, you don't need the discipline to consciously choose the better sitting habit 50 times a day for the rest of your life. You need 1 or 2 changes to your actual physical space, a floor cushion within reach, a slightly firmer chair, a low table you sit at occasionally, that make the good habit the path of least resistance instead of the one requiring a decision every single time. That is habit number 7. Here is everything in one breath. Sit on the floor for part of every day, not just in chairs. Give your lower back real unsupported time instead of constant cushion support. Roll your pelvis to neutral before you settle into any seated position. Change position every 20 to 30 minutes, never holding one posture for hours. Choose a firm, thin cushion over a thick, soft one. Keep a light, constant engagement in your lower abdominals throughout the day. And change your environment so the better sitting habit is the easy one, not the one requiring willpower. 7 habits. None of them require a gym membership. None of them require a single dedicated workout. Every single one begins the next time you sit down, which, for most people, is in about the next 10 minutes. Your back pain isn't a sign that you're getting older. It's a sign that nobody ever handed you these 7 habits, while every chair you've ever owned was quietly doing the work your own muscles should have been doing instead. Now you have them. So here's what I want from you before you close this video. Right now, tell me in the comments which one of these 7 your sitting habits are most missing. Is it number 1, do you sit exclusively in chairs, never on the floor, all day, every day? Is it number 3, do you slouch the instant you sit down without a single thought about your pelvis? Is it number 7, is every piece of furniture in your home built to make slouching the easiest option? Tell me the number, 1 through 7, in the comments right now, because naming it is the first step, and someone reading your comment might recognize their own chair in it and finally decide to change it. If this changed how you think about sitting, send it to the one person you know who's tried every back pain remedy except this one. They're 7 small habits away from a back and a waistline that finally stops working against them. I'll see you in the next one.